Yeah.
It's sugar-coated dross that all the little girlies like because he's reasonably cute. Well, I'll tell you one thing: when his voice breaks, he's going to have a few issues.
Oh,
You know,
exactly. That's what everybody has been saying. Yeah.
he ain't going to last much longer. I mean, they were all going on. What was it yesterday? The Forbes report: Lady Gaga is the most influential musical person on the planet. I'll be blunt. What a load of bollocks.
Hmm.
There are way more influential. Yeah, she's got the most people on Facebook, the most people on Twitter. That's fine. To me, the most influential musical people on this planet are people that have lasted 20, 30 years. The Led
Exactly.
Zeppelins of this world. You know, the
Exactly.
Deep Purples, the Bon Jovis, the White Snakes. These guys are still kicking out decent current music. White Snake's new stuff is excellent.
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
Yes.
I
I love
told you
those
about.
guys.
I sent you the track over, didn't I? You know, the new one.
Okay.
But you know, Europe, Europe were like the big hair poodle band of the '80s. But look at them now. Look at the stuff they've kicked out recently. Their last album, what was it? Last Look at Eden. Fantastic album, and you suddenly realise these guys really can rock it out with the best of them. And these are the guys that have lasted, and they've lasted because they kick out good music.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, you got, I mean, everybody's raving about the Take That reunion. Well, Take That reunion. You know, I mean, let's face it. I don't think Robbie Williams' career was going anywhere, so he just jumped on. Oh, I'll jump on with Take That. They've started doing well again, and I'm
Yeah, I
thinking, yeah,
hadn't
okay, they're
hadn't heard.
listenable, but
Yeah, I hadn't heard of
still a
them
bit.
in a long time, so I didn't even realize they were coming back.
Yeah, they've got a big UK tour going on this summer, but hey, you know, we've got the likes of what have we got? Kings of Leon, Bon Jovi doing Hyde Park this summer, and that's where I'd rather be.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people don't believe it, but people like there's some guys that are into the metal. They do the metal song, but a lot of people would be surprised that those guys that are out there belting those tunes grew up with like classical music and stuff, and that's what they listen
Yeah.
to, or they listen to country or something. I mean, something totally different than what they're doing. Are you that way as well too, or do you? I mean, like if you were to have an iPod, or what type of music would you have on there?
Oh well, I don't actually own an iPod, weirdly enough. What I do is stick all my music on my phone on a memory card. So this little memory card can go into anything, either an iPod, a phone, or whatever. But yeah, I've got a really eclectic musical collection. You know, there's some classical in there. There's some Sinatra in there. I mean, Sinatra had more rhythm in his little fingernail than Justin Bieber. Let's face it.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
know, there's stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of the stuff that I was brought up on: the Beatles, Nat King Cole. Um, Very varied, but what I just like good music. It's that simple. As long as it's good and it's listenable and it's got a melody. You know, I love classical stuff. There's some fantastic classical stuff. There's various tracks. I mean, do you guys have The Apprentice, don't you, over in the States?
I'm
It's
sorry.
old
What was it?
Donald Trump, isn't it, that presents it over there, I believe.
Present. I'm not quite sure, but I lost track of that guy. The only time I ever hear about him is when he's in trouble or he does something.
Yeah, he's been in trouble quite a lot recently, hasn't he? So,
So yeah. So
um, yeah. What about Arnold Schwarzenegger, though? Hey,
oh, you know
Terminator's
what?
in trouble, big time.
You know, I don't know about that guy, but you know what? I guess people. I just wish people would stop fussing over it. You know, yeah, he did something. He's a fan. He had a wife. He had kids. He shouldn't have done that. But you know what? Just because who he is, it doesn't mean he doesn't have faults. He doesn't make mistakes. He's going to do
Yeah,
things, but unfortunately, who he is, he's out there in the limelight.
absolutely.
Every little thing he does, he's being watched. He's going to be criticized for it. But
Yeah, yeah.
if you or I were to do something like that, we wouldn't be all over the news. It's just another person. Another
No one would
person,
even notice.
made a mistake. But I was surprised to hear that. He messed up his family now. He messed up California. You know, let's just say he's not my favorite person.
Unfortunately.
He really messed up with education here. I mean, I don't know how it is. overseas or with the rest of the United States, but California, the education system is so messed up now. He promised he wouldn't touch the education funds. He took money out of there and did something with it. And he said he was going to pay it back and put it back. He never did. So now all the schools are
Yeah.
short funds. And what the parents are having to do is every year they have to raise, gosh, what is it? I think it was like $1 million every year. And most of that is alone like 275,000 or something of it alone is just to keep the teachers, and then the rest is to keep programs like music, art, and everything. And music is a big program that everybody wants to try and keep here. That's a real big thing here. And so,
Yeah, it's something that's suffering here in the UK a bit too. We have an arts council over here in the UK, and they are pretty much government funded and also lottery funded. And basically, the arts council is pretty much going to have to fold, and the government has actually put in a request to close it all down, and it's very upsetting when something like that happens. And I was never a big fan of music at school. I got into music quite late, about 5 years ago, and now I'm in it and loving it so much. I think it's so important for any child. It's an opportunity for any child, probably from the age of about 3, 4 upwards, to shine
yeah,
and just express themselves, even if it's completely out of tune on a glockenspiel or a xylophone. It's just something. I find it extremely therapeutic. Everything that I do with the music, even today, laying down a guide vocal for the new single, ready to finish it off and put the final vocal down next week. Going over and over the same old line, the same old chorus, the same old verse. But what's so lovely about it is you're refining that song, and you're honing down all the edges and smoothing it all down so it sounds the way you want it to sound. And when it comes out the way you want it to sound, it's just so damn satisfying.
hmm
It really is. It's one of the loveliest experiences that anybody can ever have. The other thing that I love is just getting a chord right. Now, I noticed that Haunting Heather Shaun is in the chat room. He'll be with me on this. When you're playing a guitar and you've got a new chord to learn and you get it right, and you get the chord changes to the other chords right, it's just satisfying. It's like, yeah, got it, excellent, and you feel really good about yourself. And there's a lot of kids out there, especially, I guess, in modern society today, that might not have a good home life. They might come from a single-parent family, or, God knows, even worse. There could be violence in that family, anything. So they could have quite a degree of low self-esteem. But if they
exactly.
learn an instrument, or they learn to sing, or anything like that, it gives them that satisfaction. It gives them that confidence. And I never realised that when I did music at school. I mean, I was mainly sport at school a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I just, it's just amazing how something like music can actually help them do better at other things. I mean, I've just noticed a comment from Yossa in the chat room that students who study music, they actually do better in math. Now, I'll tell you something really strange. I work with computer-aided design.
hmm
That's what I do for a living. I train on it. I provide consultancy on it. There are so many of my colleagues and peers that are musical. And it's very true. Music is very mathematical. It's all progressions of numbers, basically. And if you can get your head around that, it just works. There you go. Haunting Heather Shaun in the chat room. Music is a total escape. I wouldn't have made it through high school without it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be totally honest. I don't think I would have made it through high school without it either. But not playing it or actually doing it, but listening to it.
Yeah.
And there was a comment from John Bon Jovi the other day about all this digital music. Now, hey, sure, we're using the internet to do what we're doing tonight, but I still love buying a CD, getting it in my hands, looking through the sleeve, looking through the credits, who else has written it, listening to the track with the lyrics. I used to do that with my LPs as well. And music is just such therapy. It doesn't matter what type of music. It could be anything: classic, jazz, syncopated Himalayan rhythms on panpipes. Who cares? But it's music, and it's something that once you get it and it gets under your since I was very young, probably about 8 or 9,
Exactly.
and just now that I've realised that I can play it, I can sing, I can do the rest, it's really, really satisfying. Really, really satisfying.
Yeah,
And just,
exactly.
there's so many things that music can do and help people with.
Yes. Even though somebody like me who's not musically inclined. I mean, I used to play the guitar when I way back yonder. I'm not going to date myself, but I started out on acoustic, and the very first song I learned how to play was a Creedence Clearwater Revival song, "Proud Mary." And I really, really wish I'm kicking myself in the butt right now for not sticking with it. I wish I could. I should have. Now I don't know. I don't think I could pick it up as fast. But even though I don't play anything, so I listen to it a lot. Music, obviously, as you found out, I'm doing all this radio stuff and everything. It's still a big part of my life and other people out there too. They may not play it, but they listen to it. They're actively involved with artists, such as yourself and stuff, helping you get your name out there and everything too. Even that is therapeutic. Even that is good. And now, at least here, I don't know overseas or anything, but they're starting the kids out young in music, like in kindergarten, and for sure when they get into fifth grade, like around 10 years old, they have a specific 90-minute period focused on music. They introduce
Yeah,
the kids to, all the string instruments, the violin and the flute and all that stuff. In middle school, which is like 6th, 7th, and 8th, they're about 11, 12, and 13 years old, which I found out a couple years ago. The middle school has a class called Rock Band. But before you can get into that, you have to have some sort of a musical background. So I think that's really neat. They have somebody singing, they have drums, they have the guitar and everything. So, and they have the other musical class. They've got the chorus, they've got the band, they've got orchestra and all that stuff. But a lot of that is being affected by the budget cuts and stuff. So that's one of the
yeah,
first
same in this
programs
country.
that people try to save. Unfortunately, we don't really get a whole lot of money from the state or for the government. A lot of it is funded by the public. Thank goodness for the big business people around that donate a whole lot of money to it, and a lot of it comes from the parents too. Like a few years back, they were asking every year for parents to donate $600 for each for one kid, and if you had two or more, 900 kids. I mean $900. They had to because they had this $1 million goal to reach, and most of it was
Wow.
just to keep the teachers, and then the rest was a program. And of course, with the economy the way it is, parents can't afford to fork out 600-900 bucks, every year. And this is a
Yeah,
public
struggle.
school. So what they depended on was, the businesses coming through, like the real estate people and such, because they figure, hey, well, if we make education good in the area, maybe people will want to move here and they'll buy houses. So we've been fortunate to have a good community where a lot of the businesses have donated, but a lot of the funds for all the stuff, like we have an art program just like what you mentioned, but it, you know, the parents, the public is funded by, it's funding it. So it's really hard though, and even the high school now, I found out I didn't really hear much about them, but they've got their own issues too. So it really bugs me when I hear that education gets hit really hard like that, because you don't want the kids to get off track, you know. So
Yeah, I'm with you on that totally. Yeah, it's the problem with anything that you learn is if you don't do it sort of regularly. It's like the training and the consultancy I do in my day job. If people don't get on the software and use it after I've trained them and shown them how to use it, they forget. And it's exactly the same with anything. I mean, there are times because of the day job where I don't pick up my guitar for sort of 3-4 days or a week or whatever. And when I do pick it up, it's like, oh, hang on a minute, I need to warm up a little bit here. I mean, I'm lucky now. I remember, what have I got now? 8 or 9 basic chords. And what I tend to do is just go through and just mess around doing chord changes with those chords.